What's the most influential quote you remember hearing recently?
Ooh, intrigue.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation.
Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockoll. We are going to slough off. We're going to not use. We are going to do away with. We're going to not encumber ourselves with a script today.
Off script.
We're going off. Matt and I have both had some recent dealings that are not going to be the most pleasant, but which are dealings of a Christian school professional, nonetheless, and which are going to need to be a part of anything that we do. We're going to talk about that in some ways, but we're going to start first with we'll call it a famous quote now.
Yeah, it's real famous now.
Because I won't forget it. It's simple, effective,
Indelible.
And it will guide me. Yes, it is indelible. It is something that will guide me for a long time. But the statement is...
Are you wanting me to say the statement?
Yeah, you should say the statement
okay.
now. Yeah, I was trying to set that up.
I was waiting.
That was a T-ball on a tee.
Okay, sorry. Didn't even swing.
Didn't even swing. I fell over.
The statement is, know who you are and act like it.
Know who you are and act like it. Not only can I hear my father or my mother saying that to me, but more specifically, this came via the Museum of the Bible, Herzog Foundation, Teachers Retreat, training session, when Mr. Colfax made the statement as something which stuck out to him in his time of service and which furthered his Christianity, furthered his witness to those around him, knowing who he was and acting like it. And when we think about it in a biblical manner, we know who we are by knowing where we stand in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We know who we are by knowing where we stand as the Bible describes us. And that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the only place we know where to stand, the only kind of footing that we ever will have.
Right.
So if that is the case, we need to act like the little Christ we are called to be. We need to act like the Christians. Simple said.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done, definitely. But, of course, that has so many implications for us as Christian school building leaders.
Yeah.
To know who we are is to have identified what we believe to be God's vision, God's mission, God's purpose for our lives. To be a Christian school building leader and to know who we are organizationally, we are to know that vision and mission again for the place God's placed us. That takes work. It does not come to us without sometimes blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
To know what he has asked of us could be time spent on our knees, could be time spent, I would say absolutely time spent questioning.
Mm-hmm.
I probably never will stop questioning what God has for me. Hopefully not in the moment, but long term until I see the picture that he has for me. And that's not to say I don't find, foundation in being a Christian and the other thing that are those absolute truths, but rather I wonder what God has for me in the upcoming. I wonder what God has for me. So I do need to know who I am, and I do need to find that wherever I am in, to be content, sort of contentedness, sort of professional and personal contentedness. And if I don't have it for myself, I can expect myself to drift. I can expect myself to be in pursuit of something that will not make me as complete or blessed as God would have me to be. That's scary. And if I don't believe that my school knows who it is or what it is, if it hasn't identified its true vision and mission, then I should be expecting my school to close down, because I should expect my parents to know what they want and to be willing to, spend the money on something they can, or a mission they can get behind. If they can't get behind the mission, if they can't get behind the school's visible creation, operation, as a part of that, I don't expect to be around very long if I'm questioning what it is, especially if that questioning leads to great divergence from whatever the norm happens to be. I may be rambling at this point, but I think about knowing who I am, and I think about those things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said way too much.
That was
That was a soliloquy, and not even a good one at that.
Yeah, I just know, and maybe speaking for myself personally, not to say it's going to be easier, but maybe there is a little bit more of ease when you realize who I am isn't good and that needs to change.
Sure.
Because the only one we're really, granted, who we are does affect more than just ourselves, but we are in complete control of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to changing or identifying that your school is not what it should be,
Mm-hmm.
then that's going to lead to some very great challenges.
Sure.
That may, on the one side, seem scary, impossible, but nonetheless necessary to make certain changes.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's kind of what we're going to be driving at primarily, even though, we're not scripting this episode. But as we've led up to this podcast recording, and thinking through Know You Are, Act Like It, the recurring theme tends to be, this is a real obstacle that we know is in the way of being who we should be. What do we do?
Yeah. And it may not be blow it up. It may not be lasso it and throw it behind you. It might be something else. It might be pick it up and take it with you. It might be deconstruct it. It could be a lot of different, verbs to what we do to that obstacle as we just continue to dismantle this metaphor. But the understanding absolutely has to be that, and act like it, there is both the difficulty of acting like it, but the freedom that comes with it when we do. And that's got to be the sun rising the next morning reason we get out of bed.
Yeah.
When we're talking about knowing who we are and acting like it, I'm talking about being free to pursue exactly what God has called me to do without, and you can't say care, and you can't say we're like with reckless abandon. You can't say that, because that's not true, unless you're talking about the gospel, which of course that's, yes, you better enter into that's going to I'm going to destroy that verse, but better to enter into eternity with fewer appendages, or that issue that you have no longer being an issue. That is reckless abandon. That is reckless love, as it says. That is knowing I am charging full steam ahead for this absolute truth. And again, reckless, people have issues with saying reckless love and whatnot, so I don't want to be careful with that again. But the understanding that I am full bore for this mission. I am full bore for exactly what I know I'm called to. And in our positions, I'm full bore for leading this institution as I have been called to and have been empowered to do. At any time we're in those positions of power, and it's relative to who you happen to be. But anytime we're in those positions of power, all the more reason for us to be exceptionally careful with making sure that we are following the mission, but doing so doggedly.
This episode of the Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation. As Christian educators, we know that liberty without truth is fragile, and truth starts with God. That's why the Herzog Foundation has launched the Faith and Freedom 250 campaign. an initiative that equips schools and families to connect the biblical roots of American freedom to the next generation. Having started on July 4th, 2025, and following through until July 3rd, 2026, Herzog is releasing short videos each Friday, highlighting voices from across the country, educators, leaders, parents, and everyday Americans, reflecting on key moments in our nation's history and the importance of commemorating 250 years of liberty. We all understand how faith has always been central to our country's founding and why it still matters today. It's an incredible way to integrate history, civics, and biblical worldview into your school's curriculum, especially as we approach America's 250th birthday in 2026. Visit herzogfoundation.com to view their free resources and get started today. And make sure to tell them that the fellas here at the Christian Principles Podcast sent you.
If your school is moving towards standards-based or mastery-based grading, GradeLink has you covered with a data-driven system for mastery-based report cards that make it easy to track students' progress based on assignments you're already grading. Instead of adding standards as another thing for teachers to manage, check out cpp.gradelink.com and see how GradeLink can make standards easy and see how GradeLink can make grading easy.
If I'm in a position of knowing my school is in a deficit and knowing that if that deficit is not overcome, I'm risking future life of the ministry.
Yeah.
I have to make sure with every ounce and shred of opportunity I have been allowed to act like the building leader.
Yep.
To you're going to say I'm sorry for all the things that occur that just aren't fun socially and aren't that hurt people in their professional life because let's say someone needs to get a pay cut, or someone has to get relocated, or someone has to move a grade level they don't want to move, and these.
Or you're having to cut the program that is everybody's favorite program.
Oh yes,
but it is absolutely, no question, the program that is sucking you dry.
Yeah, or drowning the school,
Yeah.
costing you money, whatever happens to be, costing you time and energy you don't have. Making that call, never easy, but absolutely something which we've been empowered to do and need to do with the greater body in mind. And that's where we've got to pray. And I hope you have people praying for you, who are making those calls and who do affirm you and who do love you and are able to speak God's peace and truth and love into your life, and that the scriptures do what they say they will do, and they'll come around us and give us that amazing peace, because otherwise it's lonely at the top. Otherwise, you will be blamed for things that are patently false, or you'll be blamed for things that are absolutely true. You made a decision to cut the pre-K from this school. And so I went from a position of being able to work here and afford to be here because I didn't have to put my children in daycare, but now I got to find daycare. I don't know if I can work here anymore. And there's going to be those sorts of situations that occur all throughout, or it could even be the addition of something.
Yeah.
I had to, there's a part of my background that includes adding athletic teams to an institution, which cost a fine arts or a drama club what they had previously. Well, it is what it is to some extent, and we're not going to go backwards, and we're not going to not take those steps forward. There's never going to please everybody.
Right.
It doesn't mean we don't try. It doesn't mean don't try to live in peace. We try to live in peace with all men, but
where you get in trouble is where you're just making those decisions willy-nilly. That's where it has to go back to, who are you? What are you supposed to be doing? And making sure that in some ways you are the best version of yourself as you possibly can be, all in faith, following the calling that God has called you.
absolutely. And you say willy-nilly, it could be willy-nilly, or it could be in a position of being tired or not as informed as you need to be. There could be a lot of there could be a lot of different stances we find ourselves in you need to make a decision. But it's also an opportunity to remember to cut the fat, cut the chaff, cut the different things in our lives that are stealing time from that ultimate mission or vision or for the school, that's cutting pieces of that school, that's cutting away pieces of the school's ability to offer the education it wants to offer because it's focused on, something else. That's probably enough said. Just know yourself and act like it, and
Just do it.
you don't have to
Know who you are.
apologize for it. And unless you do need to apologize for it, then apologize for it.
Sure.
But we are supposing that you are following after Christ and that you have a biblical backing for your stance, whatever the stance may be. So we're excited about the opportunities we've had to interact with people recently. In fact, we're going to shout out today Mr. Mark Hobbs. And Mr. Mark Hobbs, he's the first athletic director we're going to shout out, but we're going to do so because of our deep affection for, of course, his father, Mr. Hobbs, and the fact that he came up to us recently and he introduced himself to us. And I'm telling you right now, I think he's going to be an administrator someday.
Well, you're telling the audience, but you already told him several times.
Yeah, it just when you have someone of that breeding, when you have someone of that caliber, when you have someone who's willing to step into the positions that he stepped into, and hey, athletic directors wind up making administrators because they deal with parents after basketball games, which is kind of the worst time to deal with anybody. So those people. This is me investing in the future of Christian education by saying that he's going to be a Christian school administrator.
All right, Mark. Pray for Mark.
I'll pray for Mark. Father in heaven, I thank you for the Hobbs family, the royalty in Christian education, which they are. I thank you so much for being able to meet Mark recently. And I do pray for his time there at Lancaster County Christian School, his time as an athletic director, and perhaps, Lord, the time that you have him doing something else. But for anybody listening, that's not because he told us he was doing anything else. It's because I just happen to have my mind set upon Christian school administrators often, Lord. So you know his plan. You know the plan you have for him, the plan for LCCS. You know the plan that you have for your schools to glorify your name. And so we thank you for all of the administrators who don't know that they're administrators yet and who will be called into those roles. And we ask for your hand of blessing on them when that occurs, if that occurs, much as it is on Mark now. We love you. Amen.
Know who you are and act like it.
All right, folks. Thanks for growing with us today.
We want to thank you for listening. We're honored that you spend this time with us each week. Our heart is to bring you practical conversations and resources that really serve you as a Christian school leader. One of the best ways you can help us spread the word is by leaving us a review and sharing the podcast with other Christian school principals you're connected with. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Join the conversation and share any posts that resonate with you. Every share makes a difference in helping more leaders find encouragement and practical tools. And remember, the podcast is just one way we help. We also love serving schools through speaking and workshops. Our keynotes and sessions are designed to give you actionable strategies you can take back to your team and implement right away. If you'd like more details, just send us an email at info@christianprinciplespodcast.com. We'd love to connect. Until next time, thanks for joining us on the Christian Principles Podcast.